This is STARCAST, the official podcast of your Billingham Stars. Watch and listen for the very latest news and interviews from within the Big Red Machine.
Welcome, and here is a brand new podcast from your Billingham Stars. It is STARCAST, episode 1. Hope you enjoy what we're going to be doing over the coming weeks and months for the new season. As you can see, delighted to be joined by two co-hosts of the podcast for this season. From the Stars media team, our media supremo, Carol Hunter. Hi, Carol.
Afternoon.
Hi. And chairman of the Supporters Club. He says at least until Tuesday, but I think that's still going to be given into the new season, and host of his own podcast, Stick to the Pod, and Billingham Symphonia's all-rounder as well, Jono Langstaff. Jono, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Glad to be here.
Great to have you on board. So starting this new venture for the Billingham Stars. It's obviously the right time to do it. It's the second week of Wimbledon. It's the final stages of the European Championships. It's absolutely hosing it down outside. So why not talk hockey for a few minutes? And what we'll do is we'll have a quick recap on kind of last season, and then see how things have taken shape so far in terms of Billingham and also the league wide. Things have changed for the league as well. So obviously, your Billingham Stars league champions last year. Anything stand out, Carol? League championships, obviously, first one for 10, 11 years, but the season as a whole, a success and very enjoyable.
Very enjoyable, absolutely. Obviously, towards the end of the season, perhaps not quite as enjoyable, but certainly for a large part of the season, 89% of the season, it was fantastic. The hockey was superb. Standout moments, well, if you're crushing your local rivals on their own ice, that's always good to look back on. Winning the league away from home, that was something special. Seeing the crowds at Billingham week in, week out, coming to support the lads, noisy forum. Yeah, there's really not much that sort of put a dampener on the season. You can look back on individual moments. Obviously, the cup final wasn't the best. The North-South final at the end of the season was a bit flat for me personally. Although today, strangely, is quite reminiscent of that day. Aquaplaning down the M1 to get there in the first place wasn't particularly fun. But those, if you want to call them negatives, were few and far between. The season as a whole was amazing.
Yeah, and Jono, picking up on that, obviously that the way the Stars, since coming out of COVID, the Stars have kind of been building towards something like the season we've just had, and the league championship, as Carol said, the cup final, the playoff final, the national final. Stars challenging for honours on all fronts, and that's what we were kind of building towards.
Yeah, like you say, they're coming straight out of the COVID season. The club set a platform, and it was just an absolute amazing ride to be on. You could see the steps the club was taking. And I think come the end of the 22-23 season, we had that cup final with Solway. I still personally feel we were robbed. But that summer leading into the 23-24 season, the momentum was fantastic. Other fans were already talking about the new season. And we just it was just an amazing start from the 23-24 season. I know we had that little rocky start, the first game, but we hit our strides, and it was just an absolutely fantastic season to be a part of, off the ice as well. Things changing all the time, watching the club grow has just been a fantastic time since COVID, really, and ending like with last season winning the league title.
Yeah, and you mentioned the club growing. Carol mentioned the fans, the attendances at the forum, but from yourselves at the Supporters Club as well, kind of rebooting the Supporters Club and the kind of business the Supporters Club was doing come the season end was fantastic as well, and that culminated at the presentation. I've been able to present a cheque to Alan to support the club financially as well.
Yeah, it was fantastic. hand on heart, and I think Carol was there that first meeting in the summer. We left it till last minute, as per usual, and it was more of a meeting to close things down. But we said no, we'll give it one more bash. There was a couple of quid in the bank, so we thought we'd spend it in the right areas and bring in some different types of merchant that we as a club haven't done before. And it just took off. We set a target of obviously trying to help the club and maybe handing over about £500. Just, we know it's not massive, but it could help with a little bit of here and there. And we ended up handing over a check of about 1,500 quid, which for a small club, and it was absolutely fantastic to do, really. Yeah, and I'm sure Alan appreciated it.
Yeah, no, it was brilliant at the supporters club. The presentation night, to see the committee kind that I think Alan was generally taken aback as well with the contributions he's making. So all power to the supporters club and the fans for kind of buying in and backing what he's doing as well. So look forward to that continuing in the new season. As we come into the 24-25 season, the hashtag from last year, it's not even August yet, but that kind of continues. We do have signings for the Billingham Stars that have been released over the last few weeks as kind of the guys put pen to paper and Alan kind of chases them down and gets them to sign. So far, we've confirmed in order. It was James Helens was up first, then Lucas Dowdle, Joe Dowdle, Alex Preston, Ben Greenhalgh, Callum Wilkinson, Tommy Spraggan, and Jack Emerson. Before we talk about the signings so far, Carol, do you want to add a name to that list for us tonight?
Yeah, I'm delighted to do so. It's a name that a lot of people will have been waiting for us to announce, I'm quite sure. And it's last season's top point scorer, Chris Sykes, number 15.
So Sykes is back with his just the 97 points last year. So that one, Jono, and the signing so far, what's your first thoughts on obviously it's bringing guys back from last year, but you need to keep the guys, the core, and kind of build on that, don't you?
Yeah, well, I think the main part of what's signed so far is 3 of your main core of your D. You're not winning championships out of solid D. I think we have 3 of the best, and they've all been announced so far in Jammer, Tommy, and Luca. Joe Dowdle, sorry, absolute solid set of D-men, so only 1 or 2 pieces needed there. And then obviously your other pieces where Greenhalgh, he stepped up massive last year, playing forward in D when there were suspensions and injuries. And Preston came in with some absolutely huge goals as well. So it's not, for the forwards, it's not the names that people like to chant from the stands, but it's the guys that do the hard work so these guys can go, like Chris Sykes has been announced tonight, it's so they can go and do the job that they do best and putting pucks in net. And as we've seen with Sykes, for the past 10 years now, is it? 10 years he's been our top point scorer every year since he's been here. The guy just is a class act and it oozes points.
Yeah, no, it is great to have everybody back, but adding Sykesy as well so early in the summer is brilliant. And Carol, the point Jono makes about the guys signed so far, yes, you need your top line, you need your superstars, but you need that second line, third line, extra pair of D, as Jono says, for the depth. And the guys like Callum Wilkinson and Jack Emerson, particularly at the forward lines, we kind of missed things like that at the back end of last year when we lost the score and depth. So getting those guys back and hopefully completing that sort of lineup will be huge going forward.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, these are the guys that you possibly don't have at the top of your roster when you're looking for the big names, but you certainly miss them when they're not there, and we did last season. And they are the guys that put in the hard work, and there was points last season where our third line in particular was the one grinding out results for us. And I think at the end of the day, if you don't have guys like that, then you can't win championships. It doesn't happen like that. You can't win a championship with one top line, and to a certain extent I think that's why other teams maybe didn't push us as close as they should have done last season. And it is those guys that certainly I look forward to seeing back on the ice, because they do put in so much of the hard work that bears fruit at the end of the season.
Yeah, and we mentioned in the release, Callum last year obviously had the the bad start in the summer, touching everything. I think he's way to Ibiza again this week, isn't he? So hopefully a safe return from Carl, and as kind of moving on from that, obviously they're the guys signed so far. In terms of returnees, anything key for you, Jono, coming back?
In the whole, it was that decor. I think that decor is massive, and we've got 3 of them already, which is absolutely fantastic. Games about scoring goals, but like it's being mentioned earlier, it's the D that wins you championships. It's netminders that win you championships, and so far so good that we've got most of our D signed up, and they're still a very young D as well, and they're only going to get very, very much better.
Yeah. And in terms of signings to come, Carol, obviously Alan Flav, our GM and head of hockey operations, is getting in touch with guys as best he can, and as soon as we get the information, the Stars media will be putting it out on the social media for people to see.
Yeah, I think everybody should be assured that Alan's beavering away behind the scenes, and keep your focus on the socials for the announcements as they come out, and hopefully everybody will be happy with the final result.
Yeah. No, we look forward to that taking place and building over the next few weeks. Looking a bit wider than just Billingham, obviously the last few weeks there's been stuff coming out from the league as well. Changes in terms of membership of our division, and some format changes and a couple of rule changes as well. I think that a couple of the key points, we'll go through them. The reduction in imports or non-British trained players, to use the proper spiel. Imports down from 3 to 2. 3 points for a win in all competitions this season, in the NIHL 1 and 2. And then obviously in our division, the addition of the Leeds Knights Division 1 team. So a 10-team division, which is something we've been chasing for a good few years, to increase the number of games. So it's a 36-game league season. Changes to the playoffs as well, which we'll talk about in a minute. But your first thoughts on those big changes, Jono?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest one that the fans are going to see and could be a bit disappointing is the import rule. That's going to hurt us straight away, because we did carry 3 last season, so Alan's got decisions to make on that front. But the best one for me is the 3 points for a win. It's something I've been banging on about for years. I just don't understand why it's never been 3 points for a win. I know the fashionable thing is the NHL, and it's not what they do, but yeah, I just feel it rewards teams for winning games. It's as simple as that. Just looking at the Stars last year, I think we ended up winning the league by 2 points, but that didn't give us the reward that we had for a 16-game league wins on the bounce, and we didn't get that points reward that we probably deserved. So it will reward teams who do put those wins together. And come the end of the season, if there's any tie breaks, it's quite simple as who's got the most wins.
Yeah, and people are saying that obviously the 3-2-1, it will make the gaps bigger, but by the same token, Carol, it's 3 points for a win. So if you're 6 points behind, it's only still 2 games. If you win those games in regulation, so it gives that impetus to chase the game in regulation to get that extra point. Are you pleased with the decision to go 3-2-1?
I am. I've seen some criticism online on some of the social media feeds, but in all honesty, I'm not sure why. I'm with Jono totally on this. I think it does give that extra impetus to teams to go out and chase a win. It does reward teams for those wins, and it brings us into line with the rest of Europe. And Jono mentioned it about keeping in line with the NHL, but why would we? We're not over in North America, so I'm all for it, and I don't see any drawbacks. You've hit the nail right on the head, Craig. Yes, teams might open up gaps, but at the same time, those gaps can be closed much quicker. So yeah, I'm all for it.
Yeah, and the imports as well. We'll talk about the imports as the signings are made, and we'll see where Alan makes the decision. But the decision to go from 3 to 2, I think we're the only team with 3 in our division last year.
Yeah.
So whether that's a financial thing or just I know they've kept 3 in the national and 2 in our division and Division 2. So whether it's kind of to make that differentiation between development for Division 1 and 2. We don't know what the thinking was, but it obviously came from the clubs when they had their meetings. In terms of Leeds Knights Division 1 team, I know there was a bit of online hoo-ha, whatever the technical term is, that they went straight in Division 1, but having the national division, multiple champions at the top of their trade, to have a Division 1 team makes perfect sense, Jono.
Yeah, I mean, in the long run, it is only good for the sport. More teams, more the merrier. I do understand a lot of the hoo-ha. I was kind of a bit of it, part of it myself. I don't know whether it's just because I was going back to how Solway were treated when they first came along. But I mean, the only difference then was promotion and relegation, which we don't have, which is the only downside of the league so far. Maybe in the future that comes along. But yeah, more the merrier. Glad they're here, but I think traditionally my way is I would prefer them to come in Division 2 and earn the way and had one of those Division 2 step up if they actually wanted to step up, that is.
Yeah. The discussions obviously over the last few years has the format of the division. They've put clubs kind of where they best fit in terms of location, fixtures, business. So putting a team like Leeds probably does make sense more in Division 1. Carol, would you say?
Yeah, I'm kind of on the fence of the whole should have come up through Division 2. I'm not really too concerned with that. I'm really excited to see Leeds in our division. As Jono says, the more the merrier. More competition for places as well. It only brings the standard up for me. On a personal note, it's another rink to go and visit. I've only been to Leeds for playoffs, so and I'm a West Yorkshire girl as well, so I get to go back to the old homestead occasionally. But yeah, I think it's a good move for the league. I'm really excited to see what they bring.
Yeah, and in terms of Leeds, they've already kind of set out their stall, the kind of players they're going to have in their Division 1 team. So it is very much going to be a development team, which kind of fits the ethos of the top teams already in the division, Jono. So adding more development players, players are young and hungry, trying to prove themselves. It's going to make for exciting hockey next year in Division 1.
Yeah, it's going to be fantastic. You can see with just what they've put together so far. They have took one or two players from other clubs that I've seen. They're going to be a young, exciting side. And I think only time will tell with the rest of the signings to where they might place through the season. But I'm sure they're going to have some great games with the Sheffield teams and the Hull teams where they can build up good rivalries.
Yeah. No, that's going to be good. I didn't think of that. Yeah, the Yorkshire thing, obviously we've got that in the national division, so getting the Yorkshire thing in our division as well is going to be good. Rivalries are always good for business, as they say. The other changes from the league meetings, we're kind of towards the end of season stuff, the playoffs. Each division we're kind of given options and clubs are voting on what's best for them. So there are slight differences between the 4 divisions, but in terms of our division, top 8 teams will qualify. Home and away quarterfinals, home and away semi-finals, which is new for us, and then the finals weekend will be finals on a Saturday for divisions, and then national finals on a Sunday. Central location hasn't been announced yet. There's a couple of options being put out there, but nothing's been announced yet from the league as far as we can see. Thoughts on the playoff structure, Jono?
I'm not gonna lie, I think I was a bit annoyed at first, and I just think it's because Sheffield was just a fantastic occasion this year. I loved every minute of Sheffield this year, and the Stars lost the final, so that tells you how great a weekend it was. On the plus side, better for the clubs to get in that semi-final gate money, that's going to help. And then we get to see what's going on in the South as well by watching their games on the Saturday and see what they're all about. And we get to see, like I say, with the South, we don't get to see what's going on down there. We only see what's online. So we get to I can't think of the word, but we get to size them out, I guess, before the games on the Sunday.
Yeah. And there'll still be the Coventry final for the 2 respective league champions, Carol. But in terms of the playoffs, I say moving to this home and away semi-final, it's kind of what the clubs, particularly in Division 1 North and South, have kind of asked for. They wanted that extra home gate to help the clubs financially. So it kind of tailors to what the clubs want, but still gives that showpiece feeling at the end of season.
Yeah, well, you're speaking to somebody who's of an age that remembers Wembley, so I'm 100% for this one. And again, I've seen arguments for and against online, and I get those. I get why people might be a bit disappointed with this particular move, but I'm completely in the other camp. I'm delighted that we've got a national playoff weekend. I think it'll be a really good experience for the fans of the North and the South to get together for a weekend. And like I say, I'm probably throwing back to my youth and going to Wembley with lots of other teams that you know from all across the country. And yeah, I'm 100% in that camp. I'm really looking forward to it. We wait to see on the venue, of course, but I do think it's got real potential to be a highlight of the season going forward.
And the like you say, the Wembley feel, the showpiece feel of it, and it's kind of club driven as well. So hopefully the clubs will support it. They'll get the semi-final gate and then encourage their fans to buy tickets for the weekend at wherever venue it is, and hopefully fill out the arena wherever it could be, and make it a true showpiece and a true something that the NIHL Division 1 and 2 kind of deserves, because it is a good product, as we saw last year in Sheffield, and the South finals in Haringey as well were really well attended, really well supported, and getting a joint national final can only be good for the division. Do you think?
Oh, I 100%. I think so. I do think that the opportunity, as Jono said, to see teams you don't see throughout the season, to mix with fans that you don't mix with throughout the season. I think it's just a really good opportunity for hockey to celebrate for one weekend, just to all get together and just have a bit of a drink and watch some hockey.
And the good thing this year as well is that they've got the sort of the calendar. So between our playoffs and then the Coventry is the very next weekend. So there will still be that kind of continuation. Whereas this year, obviously, we had the break, which kind of upset things a little bit. But getting the calendar sorted early has been good, and everything's looking well. In terms of the other teams in the league, anything that you've seen, Jono, of the team building so far? Anything catching your eye?
No, I think it's pretty much as you were. Yeah, no one's really stood out and done something different. So yeah, it's pretty much status quo at the moment. No one's gone and made that signing that's made you sit back and go, yeah, they're going to be there or thereabouts. So I think everyone's keeping the new signings or the big names close to the chest. And as we get closer to the season, we'll start to see who has what, and we can start the online slagging matches to who's going to win what next year.
Yeah. And yourself, Carol, obviously watching the socials from your point of view, as Jono says, a lot of it appears to be people re-signing, getting their core together before they try and maybe push out and get some new bodies in.
Yeah, a bit of a change to last season when I don't know if you remember, Craig, we sat outside a Starbucks in Hartlepool randomly. But yeah, but that was at the beginning of June last year, and people had already started coming out with a few big names. Now maybe it's the Euros, England staggering their way through to the semi-finals that has stopped that happening this year. I don't know, but I think Jono's right. A lot of teams this year seem to be playing their cards quite close to the chest and not really coming out with those big names yet. So we're all kind of a bit cagey and looking around and thinking, what's going on and what's going to happen come, it's not even September now, it's the end of August for the season start. But yeah, it is slightly different from this time last year. If you think back, it is definitely got a cagier feel to it.
You can feel it's different this time. I know I messaged you through the week, like with what's going on, but the guys who were messaging me, nothing this year. So whether they all think the title's up for grabs this year, or everyone's got that big signing that they're waiting to announce, thinking that we're going to be the team to beat, because we will be. We'll have that mark on our back at the start of the season, being defending champions. But yeah, everything just seems really, really, really weirdly quiet.
Yeah. We'll see who the first one is to drop the big drop the big name, perhaps. We shall see. Anything else in the league structure, league format, anything around the league? Yeah, thinking to talk about as it all right for now, and we'll see as things start to develop.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a time will tell. We've got a 10 team league. It's going to be exciting. It's just waiting on those fixtures to see where we go first and when are those Warriors games.
Yeah. Well, fixtures is a good one, a good segue, Jono. Almost like a podcast professional that you are. This weekend is the fixtures meeting, and they haven't had a proper fixtures meeting in our divisions for quite a while. So the teams are getting around face to face. There's going to be a South fixtures meeting on Saturday, I believe, and North on Sunday this weekend. So they'll thrash things out, and hopefully shortly thereafter we'll start seeing some dates coming out. I know it was mentioned a pre-season is bank holiday weekend. Is that right? End of last full weekend in August,
Fairly sure, yeah.
24th, 25th.
Yeah, something like that.
I've forgotten the numbers, but yeah. So just checking his calendar off screen. 24th, 25th, yes. And then 31st and the 1st should be the start of competition games. So again, for people to keep an eye on, Carol, things will developing in the background, and as soon as any news is confirmed, we'll let people know.
There are developments in the background for that one. Fixtures meeting, as you say, is next week, so we can expect some announcements for pre-season, season tickets, that sort of thing, fairly quickly after that.
Sounds good.
We don't have a 5-game road trip to start the season this year.
and we don't play teams that only begin with the letter S for the first month like we did this year as well.
Yeah.
That's pretty much all we have on our agenda. Any other business you want to bring up in this first edition of our Billingham Stars podcast?
For me, just keep an eye on the supporters club stuff. We have a meeting next week, so we'll start getting stuff out there very, very shortly as well.
And we should ask Jono if there's a stick to the pod due out anytime soon.
Yes, I'm having some new little bits and bobs designed, so hopefully they'll be coming through soon. I am going to do a bit of an end of season review. I didn't do anything on the playoffs. Just a hockey season's draining. Doing podcasts in a hockey season's even worse. But then the cricket season started, so I've just not had time. But things are starting to slow down on the cricket front now. So yeah, there should be something coming in the next week or two.
You thought of a cricket podcast as well. Anyway, that's just leave that as a side. But in terms of this first edition, thank you to Carol and Jono for joining the first edition of the STARCAST, the Billingham Stars podcast. So we're on social media at Billingham Stars on all of the platforms. This will be available on Facebook and YouTube, and the audio version on places like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Amazon Music as well. So we're all in the big places. Get yourself subscribed, like it, share it, review it, 5 stars, all the usual stuff. We'll let you know when we're going to be back, possibly an August 2nd edition after some more signings and some fixture news, and hopefully a bit more regular in the season goes. But from this first edition, Carol and Jono, thank you. I'm Craig Simpson and host of the STARCAST.
Thank you for being part of this episode of STARCAST, the official podcast of your Billingham Stars. Remember to like and share this episode, send a review when you can, and follow us on social media for the very latest news and to find out when the next STARCAST will drop.